Hey guys, Baby Tiger here. So at the moment, I'm working on a video or a series of videos about taking samples from vinyl and manipulating and mangling them into completely different sounds to make a track where you maybe couldn't necessarily tell where those samples had come from or even what they were in the first place. And so there's a thrift store right nearby the studio, and I went there yesterday and bought a whole bunch of records. And I thought today what I would like to do is share with you some of the records that I found and what I was thinking while I was selecting these records. What I think they may contain. I haven't listened to any of them. I have no idea what's on them. But the reasons that I picked the ones that I did, and sometimes it's just because they're hilarious, right? So let me start with, I've got a whole pile right here. And there's a few 45s in here as well. Not totally sure where those are. I guess I'll start with those. No, I'll get to these in a minute. Set that over there. Okay, so the first one that I found was this. Paul Horn Inside 2. Wasn't so sure what this was. So I started to read the liner notes, and it turns out that it is a record of solo flute music. So the reason I picked this out is because that's a really kind of a hard thing to find. It's the solo flute sound. Really great for creating pads, atmospheres, anything like that, possibly even a melody instrument. Sacred Songs, Lester Flatt and Earl Scruggs. This is banjo music. And so what I was thinking about when I selected this record was perhaps I could get kind of a keys sound out of it. Banjos have a hard percussive attack, so it could sound something like a piano, who knows, something like that. The legendary New Orleans Radiators, Like Dreamers Do. I have no idea, but this center label is tie-dyed, so it could be anything. It really could be anything. Let's see. The Harp and the French Impressionists. Not sure what I'm going to do with this. Who knows what's on it? As far as the sound quality that I could use. But harp, again, could be a good sample source for pads or whatever. The Jamaica Boys. This is some kind of 12-inch maxi single. And as far as I can tell from looking at this, I think this might be dub music. So what I was thinking about here is I need some kind of source for a bass sound, and that can be actually pretty hard to get a good bass sound off of old vinyl. So something that really features it, like a 12-inch maxi single, could be the way to go from a dub group. Die Engelkinder. So this, obviously, I just bought it for the picture. This is some kind of like polka music. We'll see what that is all about. I think I'm gonna go into these 45s right now. So, Well I Never by Capers and Carson. Don't know who that is. The Crazy Auto. The Crazy Auto. So clearly, I had to get that. Something called Torture Love by Neon Stain. We'll see what this is about. I have a feeling it might be that the songs are called Rabid Friend, Fingers, Ad Nauseum, and Nostalgia Machine. 2017 is when it came out. And there's actually liner notes in this. I did not notice this yesterday. Okay. With some lyrics and stuff. Guitar vocals, guitar, bass, and drums. I was thinking this is probably punk, so that may still be the case. And I've got a couple more 12 inches. Baroque Fanfares and Sonatas for Brass by Nonesuch, put out by Nonesuch. Okay, so what I was thinking here is brass can be a really great source of pads. If you get like a nice long brass sound, you can really do a lot with that. Stefan Grippelli, Uptown Dance. I actually kind of bought this to listen to just to see if it would be any good. Stefan Grippelli was a jazz violinist, most famous for working with Django Reinhardt back in the 30s and the 40s. And as his career proceeded into the 80s and 90s, what had been cheesy kind of to start with, or I should say what had been revolutionary to start with in the 30s and the 40s, mellowed into a kind of cheesiness by mid-century, and then it became overwhelmingly cheesy and unlistenable, for me anyway, in the 80s and the 90s. This came out in 1978, and it features only acoustic instruments, so I have some hopes that this might actually be kind of good, but if it's terrible, who knows. And probably my favorite one is this one, Jesse Colin Young, Light Shine. Light Shine. And I think those are two separate words. Yep, Light Shine. And here he is, Jesse Colin Young. I mean, who could resist a face like that? So that's the only reason I bought this, is because of this ridiculous smile. You know. You just gotta love this guy. Just look at him. Look at that smile. All right, so we'll see what that's like. And that was my haul from yesterday. I also have a couple of records that I brought in here from my personal collection. Okay, so I got up and I found the records that I was talking about. This is obviously not a very large room. The first one was this Beethoven Pastoral Symphony from the Funk and Wagnall's Family Library of Great Music. This was not this particular record. I found this at a thrift store some years ago. But this was a set of music that I grew up with as a kid. And so when I found it just sitting around in basically every thrift store and every record store in the Bay Area when I was first getting into it, I thought it was pretty cool. I got to revisit all this music that I knew growing up, and was more or less my first exposure to Beethoven. Now I'm giving it away, but pretty good. And then the other thing was this harp music of the Andes, which is pretty interesting, but it turned out to be fairly unlistenable because there's really no low end on this record. It was just entirely all upper end, very irritating to listen to. But I thought maybe I could get something interesting out of that, sounds that are mostly high end or all high end. I could layer it with something, but it also could be kind of an interesting like lead sound. Who knows? I'll mess around with that and see what I come up with. All right, hope you enjoyed that little tour through all the vinyl that I uncovered yesterday at the thrift store up the street. And I'll be back to you soon with a video. I think the first one is going to be about the sample that I took from the Beethoven record already and kind of made a pad out of. So see you next time.